Across dealerships, these bikes are gathering dust. Today, we are breaking down 7 Japanese motorcycles that sellers are trying to dump ASAP. Big names, bold designs, but not enough buyers to keep them moving. Number 7. Kawasaki ZH2 SE. Some motorcycles are built with no compromises, engineered for performance so intense it borders on excessive. That is exactly what the ZH2 SE brought to the table. Supercharged power, advanced suspension, aggressive styling, and a spec sheet meant to intimidate. Kawasaki took their hyper-naked concept to the extreme, and while enthusiasts praised its engineering, dealerships are finding it difficult to convince everyday riders to actually buy one. At the heart of the ZH2 SE is a 998 cubic centimeter supercharged inline-4 engine. This power plant delivers 200 horsepower and 101 pound-feet of torque, making it one of the most powerful production naked motorcycles ever built. That power is sent through a 6-speed transmission with an assist and slipper clutch, and it comes backed by a suite of electronic rider aids. You get a quick shifter, launch control, multiple ride modes, cornering traction control, and cruise control. All standard. Up front, Kawasaki fitted electronically controlled Showa Skyhook suspension with Brembo Stylema brakes offering top-tier stopping power. The whole package weighs 527 pounds and is built on a steel trellis frame that has been tuned for stability under brutal acceleration. The bodywork is sharp, angular, and unapologetically futuristic, with LED lighting and a full-color digital display rounding out its aggressive look. No one can deny this machine's performance. It is a technological masterpiece that offers unmatched straight-line thrills. But while the ZH2 SE is impressive, that does not mean it is selling. The problem is that this bike is simply too much for most riders. With a starting price of over $19,000, it lands well above the typical buyer's naked bike budget. Riders who want something with attitude and torque are instead going for the MT-09, the Z900, or even the Street Triple Series from Triumph. These alternatives offer exciting performance, more comfortable ergonomics, and cost several $1,000s less. Then there is the intimidation factor. 200 horsepower in a naked chassis is thrilling for the experienced track day rider, but it is completely overwhelming for most real-world riders. It is not a beginner's machine, nor is it especially friendly for commuting or relaxed weekend rides. The aggressive throttle response, stiff chassis, and firm suspension make it feel nervous on city streets and over rough pavement. For many buyers, the ZH2 SE is just too much bike for the way they actually ride. Fuel range is another drawback. Between the small 4-gallon tank and the thirst of the supercharged engine, most riders are looking at barely over 100 miles before needing to refuel. That makes it hard to use as a sport tourer or even a daily commuter. And although the bike is loaded with tech, it does not include some comforts found in cheaper models, like heated grips or wind protection. The final issue is its niche appeal. This motorcycle was built to push the boundaries, and it does, but only a small percentage of riders want that much power in a naked upright format. For most, it is either overkill or simply out of reach. As a result, dealerships are struggling to move ZH2 SE units, especially as more versatile and affordable options continue to dominate the naked segment. From raw power to retro styling, the next bike had history behind it, but not the sales. Number 6. Yamaha XSR 700. Not every motorcycle gets to define its own category. Some get trapped between worlds, not retro enough for classic lovers, not modern enough for performance buyers. That is the exact space the XSR 700 has occupied since its release. It is one of those bikes that looks good on paper and has all the right parts, but when it comes time for riders to pull the trigger, they walk away. And as a result, many dealerships are trying to get these off the floor as fast as they can. Under the tank, the XSR 700 uses a 689 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, the same proven power plant found in the MT-07. It produces 73 horsepower and 50 pound-feet of torque, and it is paired with a 6-speed transmission that delivers smooth, confident acceleration from low RPM, all the way to the top of the rev range. The engine is well regarded for its torque-rich character, compact packaging, and reliability. The bike weighs just under 410 pounds wet, making it incredibly flickable and fun in the corners. The problem is not the performance, it is the identity. The XSR 700 was marketed as a retro-modern hybrid. That means it borrows old-school styling elements, like the round headlight, exposed subframe, and tank shape, and fuses them with a modern chassis and drivetrain. The result is a bike that kind of looks like a classic, but not really. And to buyers looking for a true vintage vibe, it just does not deliver. On the other hand, riders looking for cutting-edge styling or tech often lean toward the MT-07, which is cheaper and comes with a more aggressive stance. Even the riding position contributes to this confusion. The XSR 700 uses upright handlebars and a flat seat, which feels casual and comfortable, more like a standard than a true sport bike or retro cafe racer. Some riders love the neutral ergonomics, but others find it bland or uninspiring. For those looking for a cafe-style or scrambler-style ride, other manufacturers offer more committed options that either lean fully into heritage or fully into performance. Then there's the matter of customization. Yamaha pushed the idea that the XSR 700 was part of their Faster Sons project, a platform meant to be modified into anything from a tracker to a bobber to a full cafe build. But in reality, the aftermarket support is limited compared to other platforms. Riders who expected plug-and-play personalization found themselves hunting for rare parts or settling for universal fit kits. That turns off younger buyers who want to make a bike their own without breaking the bank. Price is another hurdle. With a starting cost around $9,000 out the door, the XSR 700 finds itself in an awkward position. The MT-07, which shares the same engine and many parts, comes in several $100s cheaper and appeals to a broader audience. Meanwhile, for just a little more, buyers can cross-shop bikes with more technology, more power, or more committed styling. The XSR struggled to stand out, but the next bike got buried by its own company's better models. If spotting these dealer dump bikes is your thing, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Even crazier ones are still coming. Number 5. Honda CB650R. The middleweight class is one of the most competitive segments in motorcycling. Riders want performance, style, comfort, and value, all in one package. Honda thought it had the perfect answer with the CB650R, a naked standard that blended sleek looks, a smooth four-cylinder engine, and Honda's reputation for reliability. But somewhere along the line, this model got lost in the shuffle. While it checks a lot of boxes on paper, dealers across the country are finding these bikes sitting unsold, overshadowed by rivals with bolder designs or lower price tags. Under the tank, the CB650R is powered by a 649 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that produces 94 horsepower and 47 pound-feet of torque. This engine is rev-happy and smooth, delivering a linear pull all the way to its red line. For riders who enjoy the classic feel of a high-revving inline-4, the CB650R delivers in spades. It also features a 6-speed transmission, standard anti-lock braking system, and a respectable wet weight of 445 pounds. The suspension consists of an adjustable Showa separate function front fork and a monoshock rear setup, giving it solid handling for both spirited rides and daily commutes. Visually, the CB650R stands out in Honda's lineup. The design follows their Neo Sports Cafe aesthetic, blending retro elements like a round headlight and minimal fairings with aggressive lines and modern finishes. It is a clean, attractive motorcycle that draws attention without being over the top. Its upright riding position is more relaxed than a full sport bike, making it comfortable for city riding or weekend escapes. A full LCD dash displays everything from gear position to fuel economy, giving it a refined, tech-forward edge. So why is this bike struggling to sell? It comes down to positioning. At a starting price of around $9,300, it lands squarely between more affordable entry-level models like the Yamaha MT-07 or Kawasaki Z650 and more advanced high-performance machines like the Yamaha MT-09. Buyers looking for value often skip the CB650R for cheaper twins that offer more torque at lower revs. Meanwhile, those who want raw power or top-tier tech go straight for the leader-class nakeds. Compounding the issue is Honda's own CBR650R, a fully fared sport bike that shares the exact same engine and chassis but offers sharper looks and more aggressive ergonomics. For just a small price jump, many riders choose the CBR instead, leaving the CB650R feeling like the forgotten sibling. In that sense, it is caught in a strange no-man's land. Not quite aggressive enough for hardcore sport riders, and not quite affordable enough for entry-level buyers. Another challenge is the four-cylinder layout itself. While it used to be a major selling point, today's middleweight buyers increasingly favor torquey twin-cylinder engines that feel punchier at lower speeds and cost less to insure and maintain. The CB650R's smooth but rev-dependent character doesn't resonate with riders who want usable grunt in everyday traffic or on twisty back roads. Even though the CB650R is an excellent motorcycle on a technical level, refined, stylish, and well-built, it just does not stand out in a class filled with flashier, cheaper, or more aggressive options. From modern standards to forgotten cruisers, the next bike once had swagger but now just gathers dust. Number 4. Suzuki Boulevard C50T. There was a time when mid-size touring cruisers held a real place in the motorcycle world. They offered the relaxed comfort of a full bagger without the bulk or price tag of the heavyweight machines. The C50T was Suzuki's answer to that demand, a bike designed to give classic American touring looks with Japanese reliability and simplicity. It had the bags, the windshield, the chrome, all the right cues. But times have changed, and while the C50T has barely changed at all, riders' expectations definitely have. At the heart of the C50T is an 805 cubic centimeter liquid-cooled V-twin engine that produces 53 horsepower and 52 pound-feet of torque. The bike weighs in at 611 pounds, and despite the mid-size designation, it is a substantial motorcycle to move around. Power is delivered through a 5-speed transmission and shaft final drive, keeping things smooth and low maintenance, a major plus for newer riders who do not want to fuss with chains or belts. The seating position is classic cruiser, low, laid back and upright. A 27.6-inch seat height keeps the bike approachable, even for shorter riders. The styling of the C50T hits all the right notes for a traditionalist. Floorboards, studded leather saddlebags, a full windshield, white wall tires, chrome spoke wheels. It is the kind of look that would not feel out of place in a lineup of vintage machines from the 1950s. That, of course, is part of the appeal, or at least it used to be, because while the styling has stayed frozen in time, the rest of the cruiser market has moved forward. Modern cruiser buyers want more than chrome and leather. They expect infotainment systems, ride modes, selectable traction control, and a smoother, more refined suspension setup. The C50T skips all of that. There is no advanced tech, no rider aids, and the handling is firmly rooted in old-school geometry. At lower speeds, it is manageable. On the highway, it gets the job done. But in curves or under heavy braking, the bike feels soft and slow to respond. The single front disc brake does little to inspire confidence, especially when you are carrying luggage and a passenger. And that is where the biggest problem comes in. This bike is marketed as a touring cruiser, but its actual touring capability is very limited. The saddlebags are small and non-lockable. The windshield is functional but lacks adjustment. There is no passenger backrest, no cruise control, and no true highway-level comfort features. For a rider looking to put on real miles, it falls short of what full-size cruisers offer, and for those staying in town, it simply feels like overkill. Price plays into the struggle too. The C50T is priced around $10,000 new. That puts it in direct competition with more modern offerings from Honda and Yamaha, as well as lightly used Harley-Davidson Dynas and Softails. Riders with that kind of budget are either looking for a tech-rich modern bike or the brand prestige that Suzuki simply does not carry in the cruiser space. That leaves the C50T sitting in a no man's land between affordability and aspiration. Some cruisers fade slowly, others were doomed from day one, like this next sport bike experiment. Number 3. Yamaha R 3 World GP 60th Anniversary Edition. When Yamaha announced the World Grand Prix 60-year anniversary lineup, it caught the attention of riders everywhere. The R3 World GP 60th Anniversary Edition promised to bring legendary racing heritage to the streets, wrapped in a beautiful retro livery that called back to Yamaha's golden era of competition. With its white and red paint scheme, golden wheels, and throwback badging, it looked like a small piece of history that you could ride home. But even with the looks, dealers have found it surprisingly difficult to move these bikes off the floor. At its core, this R3 is powered by a 321 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, producing 50 horsepower and 20 pound-feet of torque. It tips the scales at just 375 pounds wet, making it one of the lightest sport bikes in its class. With a low seat height of 30.7 inches and a predictable power delivery, it remains an ideal choice for beginner riders and those looking for a lightweight, nimble machine. Its 6-speed transmission shifts smoothly, and the bike's handling is as sharp and confidence-inspiring as ever, with a focus on entry-level track use and spirited backroad rides. The R3 platform is widely respected. It has long been praised for its approachable nature, durability, and forgiving learning curve. Yamaha built a loyal following by offering a lightweight sport bike that could handle beginner mistakes without punishing the rider. Even today, the standard R3 is considered one of the best entry-level sport bikes on the market. However, the World GP 60th Anniversary Edition added a premium price tag without adding any extra performance. Mechanically, it is identical to the standard R3. No upgrades to the suspension, brakes, electronics, or engine were made. All the additional cost comes purely from the cosmetic package, the retro paint, graphics, and a few minor trim changes. This created a major problem at the dealership level. Entry-level sport bike buyers are typically very price sensitive. Most of them are new riders looking for their first motorcycle. Asking them to pay significantly more for a paint scheme with no tangible performance advantage proved to be a tough sell. While the retro styling is beautiful, it appeals more to collectors or nostalgic older riders. Not exactly the primary market for a 321 cubic centimeter beginner bike. Performance-wise, the R3 World GP 60th Anniversary Edition still shines in the right conditions. The lightweight chassis combined with the compact engine offers a playful, flickable ride. It is comfortable enough for daily commuting and capable enough to be taken to a beginner's track day. Dealers quickly found themselves sitting on unsold inventory. Buyers interested in a lightweight, affordable sport bike typically gravitate toward the standard R3, the Kawasaki Ninja 400, or even beginner-friendly naked bikes like the MT-03. For those spending extra, many simply chose to step up to larger displacement bikes like the Yamaha R7 or a Kawasaki Ninja 650. With a starting price approaching $6,500, the R3 World GP 60th Anniversary Edition asks a premium in a category where cost matters most. It remains a stunning bike to look at and a wonderful rider's tool. But unfortunately for many dealerships, it has become a floor model that turns heads but does not turn into sales. It looked fast but did not sell. And the next bike proves not even a rugged image can save a slow seller. Number 2. Kawasaki W800. Back in the golden age of motorcycling, simple, beautiful machines dominated the streets. Riders did not need computers, ride modes, or fancy electronics. They just needed a smooth engine, 2 wheels, and the open road. That is the spirit Kawasaki tried to recapture with the W800. It is a bike that blends vintage looks with modern reliability, offering a time machine experience without the oil leaks and kickstarters. However, while it nailed the styling, the W800 missed something critical. The market had already moved on. The W800 is powered by a 773 cubic centimeter parallel twin engine, delivering 47 horsepower and 46 pound-feet of torque. It is air-cooled, just like a classic British twin, and features beautiful polished cooling fins that catch the sunlight perfectly. Weighing in at 496 pounds, the W800 sits in a very manageable range for a classic-style motorcycle. The low seat height of 31.1 inches makes it accessible for most riders, and the wide, comfortable handlebars offer a commanding upright position that feels natural from the first moment you throw a leg over. The attention to detail on the W800 is undeniable. From the chrome exhaust to the round headlight and sculpted gas tank, it feels like it rolled straight out of the 1960s. Kawasaki even went as far as engineering a bevel gear-driven camshaft to replicate the look and feel of true old-school parallel twins. The ride is smooth, the engine hums with a lazy elegance, and the bike feels content to cruise through town or along winding back roads. However, nostalgia does not come cheap. The W800 launched with a starting price around $10,000, putting it in direct competition with some very tough rivals. For that same money, a buyer could pick up a Triumph Bonneville T100, a machine with stronger brand recognition, a little more power, and arguably a more polished overall package. Performance is another sticking point. 47 horsepower is enough for casual cruising and short highway runs, but it quickly feels outmatched if you want to push harder. The W800 lacks the urgency and flexibility that many modern riders expect, even in retro bikes. Acceleration is relaxed, passing power is limited at highway speeds, and the 5-speed transmission, while smooth, feels a step behind the 6-speed units that are now standard even on smaller motorcycles. Comfort is good for short rides thanks to the plush seat and relaxed ergonomics, but the lack of wind protection and limited suspension travel make longer trips more tiring. The suspension is tuned for comfort over sharp handling, so while the W800 is happy on back roads, it does not carve corners with the confidence of more modern standards or even some newer cruisers. Dealerships quickly realize that while the W800 looks gorgeous on the showroom floor, it is a hard sell when buyers start comparing specs and pricing. As a result, many units are sitting longer than expected, with dealers eager to move them to clear space for newer, more profitable models. Old school never goes out of fashion, but it does go out of budget. The number one bike shows how even a brand new design can fall flat. Number 1. Honda Navi. Every once in a while, a manufacturer takes a gamble on something completely outside the box. The Honda Navi is exactly that, a strange blend of mini-moto charm and scooter practicality. When it was first announced, the Navi seemed like a surefire way to bring in new riders. It was cheap, lightweight, quirky, and unlike anything else on the road, but despite its creative approach and unbeatable price, the Navi has struggled to find serious traction in the American market. At the heart of the Navi is a 109 cubic centimeter single-cylinder engine. It produces 7.8 horsepower and 6.6 pound-feet of torque. Weighing just 234 pounds wet, the Navi is one of the lightest two-wheelers on sale today. The power is delivered through a continuously variable transmission, eliminating the need for manual shifting and making it incredibly approachable for brand new riders who might be intimidated by a standard clutch and gearbox. On paper, the Navi makes a lot of sense. It has a traditional motorcycle layout with a fuel tank between the knees and foot pegs instead of a floorboard, unlike typical scooters. Yet it uses a scooter-style drivetrain, meaning the engine and transmission are mounted to the swing arm, and there is no chain to maintain. Honda intended it to combine the best of both worlds, the look and feel of a small motorcycle with the ease and simplicity of a scooter. It also carries a starting price of around $1,800, making it one of the most affordable new two-wheel vehicles available anywhere. For comparison, even Honda's own Grom, which is wildly popular in the mini-moto segment, starts at nearly twice the price. The low price tag made the Navi incredibly tempting for first-time riders, commuters, and people looking for a cheap and fun city bike. However, that is where the Navi's problems begin. American riders, even beginners, tend to want machines that can comfortably handle at least moderate highway speeds. The Navi simply does not have enough power or stability for anything beyond local surface streets. With a top speed barely creeping over 50 miles per hour in ideal conditions, it is firmly limited to city commuting or slow suburban neighborhoods. For many riders, that lack of versatility makes the Navi a toy rather than a real motorcycle alternative. The styling also divided opinions. Some riders appreciate the quirky, rugged mini bike look, but others find it awkward and toy-like. In a market that often leans heavily toward cruiser styling or aggressive sport bike aesthetics, the Navi's cartoonish proportions made it a tough sell to traditional riders. Another issue is rider size. While the Navi is physically bigger than you might expect from photos, it still feels cramped for taller or heavier riders. The seat height of just 29 inches keeps it very accessible, but the compact frame can feel uncomfortable after even short rides if you are over 6 feet tall or carry a larger build. In practice, the Navi fills a niche so small that even Honda's reputation for reliability and low running costs has not been enough to drive major sales. Dealerships that once stocked the Navi in bulk now find units lingering longer than expected. Riders interested in a cheap, small motorcycle often prefer to spend a little more for a Grom or stretch to an entry-level full-size bike. Some bikes were born for greatness, others just never had a chance. Would you ride one of these forgotten machines or leave them right where they sit? Let us know your thoughts in the comment below, and I will see you on the next one.